Hamad?
Hamad.
Yes, hello.
Hey, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. First of all, I just wanted to have a talk about the existence of God, not very much related to the topic that you're talking about.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. But the thing is that I have listened to many of your shows and have talked to many atheists and so, and I'm a Muslim, by the way.
Okay.
Maybe you don't have many Muslims calling in your show.
Not too many.
Actually, a lot of people wish we'd get more, so thanks for calling.
Yeah, we appreciate your call.
All right. So in this sense, I would like to talk about God in a different way, taking a different approach, which is that when we talk about God, I think it is very essential that we need to define God, and what do I consider God to be?
Okay.
Sounds
So
good.
what is God for me? And if those attributes or those characteristics that I associate to God can be somehow explained by rationality, by logic, to my human intellectual mind, then it is automatically that I have to believe in such a thing. And the approach that I want...
Just to be clear on this, you're about to make an argument for God that appeals to pure logic and doesn't necessarily have any physical or real-world evidence behind it.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing to consider, because I do not consider God to be something physical or something bound to physicality, which can be scientifically evidenced or which can be, somehow evidenced by anything material in that sense speaking.
So in fact, evidence for your God in principle can't possibly exist? Is that what you're saying?
No, material evidence.
Okay,
material related to physicality, scientific evidence, or a mathematical evidence, something like that does not exist for me. A God like that doesn't exist. But this does not mean that it means now that nothing like that can exist.
Well, the time to believe in something is when there's sufficient evidence, right? Otherwise, you might be believing in something that's false, or believing in something for bad reasons, and maybe acting the wrong way based on a false belief, right?
You're absolutely correct in this. I agree with you. But this only applies to things that we can verify. Since, for example, let me tell you something. If something supernatural exists, you cannot use the tools of science, of physicality to prove something supernatural.
Why not?
That does not mean that something like supernatural cannot exist.
Why not?
But yeah, the point here is that that Russell would like to make probably is if God has no bearing at all on the universe and no effect on the universe, then that God's irrelevant. If the God does have an effect,
the effect is different. Different than science can explain. Look, science could not explain many theories that we have today a couple of decades ago.
Okay, like what?
Like many things. Like, for example, the theory of Big Bang. Did we have that like 100 years ago?
Okay, so would it have been sensible?
All the different things.
Do you think it would have been sensible 100 years ago without evidence for the Big Bang? Do you think it would have been sensible to jump to the conclusion that the Big Bang, if you were just to make up something that was like the Big Bang, do you think it would be reasonable to believe in it then?
No, because my claim was based on the Big Bang, right?
Okay.
My claim was different. The claim that I have for God is something different.
Here's another question for you.
Okay.
If we don't know something, is that evidence for a God?
No. Listen to the approach that I want to say.
Okay.
I have to satisfy my human mind. Let aside science and evidence and everything. I have to satisfy my human mind whether a God or a being like God should necessarily exist or not.
Okay.
My mind has to be satisfied. Not through science.
That is probably going to be the main part where we disagree, but feel free to go on.
Okay, let me explain you. Because since I'm a Muslim, I have some very fundamental things about God.
Okay.
Some very fundamental characteristic attributes. And those attributes, one of the main things that the Holy Quran, for example, says is that for you, God is such a thing that there is nothing like Him that you can find anywhere else. So God is a unique thing in an absolute sense. And He is an infinite being. Now, let's only take these two things, for example. Being an infinite being, eternal, not those concepts that he is all loving and all caring and all these different things. Just take this example of him being infinite in all sense.
Right. We get that you believe that.
Okay. The only thing is that atheists also must believe, even you must agree with me, that an infinite necessary existence must exist.
What?
Nope. Sorry.
You disagree with that, right?
Our universe is finite, and we can imagine infinities, but we can't.
Look at that. Look at that. Your mind, our mind, any human mind at any time and space can only accept two possibilities. Either something is finite, it is limited, it is bound to something, or it is infinite.
Okay.
Tell me a third option. Can you conceive
Go
of
on
anything
with
else?
what you're saying. What do you have that will demonstrate that an infinite thing exists, or that your infinite God exists?
The infinite necessity for anything else is there.
I don't buy it.
We must accept something to be infinite, be it the universe or be it anything else, in order to accept that we, for example, exist.
No, I
or
don't.
the universe exists. Look, science is what they're trying to do. They have different theories only to explain that the universe can be eternal. Why do they say that it must be eternal? Or why do they say
scientists
that universes exist which are
Hey,
infinite in numbers?
dude, scientists
Yes.
don't say the universe has to be eternal. So that's just wrong.
But look at that.
Scientists try to follow the evidence where the evidence leads.
Okay, look at the possibilities, what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that if you do not accept something to be eternal, then something has to be beyond that. Or
What?
that very thing has to be eternal.
I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Look,
I'm not following it.
if the Big Bang if there is nothing before the Big Bang, for example, just take that Big Bang as a model here.
Mm-hmm.
If there's nothing before the Big Bang, in the sense that the Big Bang existed, that singularity existed, then we must either accept that singularity was eternal, or we have to accept that something else was eternal.
The science surrounding that is effectively that time and space began at that time, so that the notion of a time before or something before is a nonsensical concept. So
okay, this is fine, but this is only to your understanding, because we have defined time, right? Time, space, and everything that exists.
We have a notion of it, yes.
And then absence of that is something which we consider nothing. But this does not mean that nothing we can conceive in an absolute sense.
What?
Do you understand that?
I'll admit that we're grappling with these notions and that we're trying to understand.
Things that I'm saying, that how am I possibly to
That's
explain anything here?
true, because you're saying a lot of stuff that is sort of pseudo philosophical nonsense.
No,
I mean,
it's
words that
it is very much necessary. So it is not something I'm making.
Yeah, I mean,
something.
it's necessary if you're married to the idea that there has to be a God, and you're starting from that conclusion and trying to justify it. But it's not.
That's where you're wrong.
But it's not generally, something universal that either philosophers or scientists accept.
I'm saying, sorry, I'm just saying that take our human mind, right?
Uh-huh.
There are certain things we can accept, there are certain limitations we must accept.
Yep.
We cannot accept anything. We have to go with our mind. The only option in our mind that we have are only two. Either something is finite, it is limited, or something is infinite. It is
already
not limited.
said that. I got that part.
Okay, you get that part.
Can you demonstrate something that's physical and infinite?
Well, you said God's not physical.
Look, something cannot be infinite and finite at the same time.
Okay.
Something cannot be limited and be unlimited at the same time.
Okay. So what?
But we have only these two options.
Okay.
Our mind only accepts these two options. If our mind accepts that this computer that I have in front of me, for example, is limited, is bound, then it cannot be unlimited as well.
Yeah,
it cannot be finite and be infinite at the same time.
Get to the God part.
This is the thing. Once you accept something to be finite anything what it is. You cannot accept that thing to be infinite, but the necessity for an infinite thing is still there.
No,
and
it
our
isn't.
mind accepts that.
No, it isn't.
Okay, if you do not accept that, but the mind of millions of other people must accept that.
I admit to concepts of infinity.
I'm talking about the necessity, okay?
Okay, I don't
Listen to the
accept that
version.
I don't see
infinity
it.
is a necessity.
So you're making an assumption here we don't agree with.
The necessity of an infinite being for something finite to exist.
Yeah, I don't accept that.
Yeah, well,
Convince
then-
me.
Look, because
I can divide the
otherwise-
world. I can divide the world into two things: things that exist and things that don't exist. And just
Okay,
because I
that's
have
fine.
two categories doesn't mean that there's something in both of those categories.
Right, I can divide the world into purple snorkel whackers and not purple snorkel whackers, but that doesn't mean that there's anything in the first category.
Understand the thing. If you divide the world in two things, if you define everything in two, then you have to accept either one or the other.
Yeah, and
Right.
everything
And
could
everything
be
could
in
be
one
in
of the
one category.
categories.
Excuse me?
Everything could be in one category.
Right. In order
Everything could be
in
in one
order to
category.
say that there is a thing in this category which is infinite beings, you have to make a case beyond I really want there to be something in there.
Okay, I'll try to explain that again, okay? Because it's very simple.
Okay.
If, let's say, the universe, for example, not the Big Bang, just take the universe, what we know of the universe as of now.
Yep.
If this very universe is finite,
The universe is finite, I agree. You don't have to
Okay.
explain that.
then it cannot be infinite at the same time.
That's
Yep.
right.
Then it simply means because the universe is finite, it cannot be infinite,
Yep.
so something else must be beyond that.
Why?
Well, simply for these reasons that either you accept something to be finite or infinite. If it is
Yep.
something finite, it cannot be infinite. It cannot have everything.
Yeah,
You're trying to
I
create
already agreed
infinites
with that
somewhere,
part.
and we're not buying the fact that these infinites are magically appearing somewhere. That's the part we don't get.
But don't you understand this part that if the universe or if anything is not finite, it cannot exist by itself.
Why?
What? How can anything exist by itself?
I
Tell
think
me
that
from
I think the category of infinite things is empty, so you can't really say anything about them.
From anything, let's go to the deepest of the atom, from the vastness of the universe.
Okay.
Can anything
One is
exist by
bigger than the
itself?
other. What?
Can anything exist by itself, just by itself?
I mean, if we say no, then that's assuming that the universe doesn't exist by itself, and I don't see any reason to assume that.
And if you say yes, then you have to prove that, right? For which we have for which we have no evidence.
What? Okay, so you're
No.
saying that there's no evidence that the universe exists by itself, but there's also no evidence that a God exists. So where does that leave us?
This is very good. That's very good.
Okay.
You came to this point. This is good. Why you just said that is because you accept this universe to be not unique, not eternal.
No, I didn't.
Then you say,
We don't
why
know.
do I have to?
I
Why
mean-
do I have to believe?
I accept
We don't
that
know.
it's probably
Convince
not
us.
eternal, but I don't accept necessarily that it's not unique.
Look, this is the fallacy that you're committing.
Okay?
Yeah, there are scientific
I love
theories of
fallacies.
multiple universes, but we don't have a way of verifying them. So they're kind of curiosities at this point.
You
and-
know, the thing is that you want to climb the ladder very slowly up, slowly up and go up step by step. Everything you will take your step and put it on the ladder only when
What-
everything
what
is
fallacy
clearly
is that?
defined.
Because if you jump off the ladder, you might fall.
Okay, that's
All right, don't be that literal. Come on.
I'm not being mean. I'm just completing your analogy. Okay.
I'm saying this that whatever exists must be either finite or infinite.
Yeah, we got that part. You already said that.
If you accept something to be finite,
Yep.
you must accept something beyond that must be infinite.
Nope.
Okay, you explain me why not.
Okay. Tell you what. Here's a finite number, 52. I can imagine something bigger than that that's not infinite. 53.
You find it necessary, right? you find it necessary, don't you? You find it necessary that a bigger number must be there.
A bigger number, it's unbounded, but you can do that with all finite numbers.
But you can do that, but there's always a step further to go, right?
Right. I'm not sure that numbers are actually a good example,
numbers may not
because
be a great
numbers
example.
are abstract and they do in principle go on infinitely. Right. Whereas there's no actual demonstration that anything tangible and physical or tangible and infinite exists. And that's what you're trying to prove, and you're just trying to prove it by insisting that it has to exist.
This is my proof here. You're just taking my things, again, applying it in your form. When
it sounds like the ontological argument.
It does. Yeah.
Well, all of those philosophical arguments are in the essence the same thing, because they are trying to prove essentially one main thing. And this is
I would say that they're trying to create a God, define a God into existence.
Yeah, I just think that if there was a good reason, if there was a good evidence-based reason to believe in God, then you wouldn't have to go through all these logical contortions to try to magic a God into existence by invoking abstract concepts. It's just very much unlike anything else we actually know about anything else in the world. That's why we don't believe in it.
Look, the first thing that you want a God to be in front of you, like scientifically, mathematically.
I'm not saying I want it to. I just say I don't have a good reason to believe it otherwise.
I have heard many times in this show people saying that we want to have a God which can be evidence, which can be verified.
It would help.
Such a God does not exist for me. This will help, but such a God does not exist for me.
Then there's probably nothing that will convince us, then. Right?
The thing is that the God that I'm trying to, not evidence, what I'm trying to define is such a God which should exist as a necessity for all else to exist.
I think you've still got more work to do on that. I think we're going to have to move on to other callers.
So we're going to stop here. Call back again sometime.
Yeah, feel free.
We enjoyed the conversation.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.